Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at Seattle, but maybe from a slightly different angle.
Yeah, definitely trying to get past the usual, coffee and clouds.
Exactly. We stumbled upon this great blog, rethinkingre.com. It's run by Don and Susie Karstedt. They're real estate folks out in Lake Tapps.
Mm-hmm. And they have this post, why would you want to move to Seattle anyway? Which, it's a good question.
It really is. So we thought, let's do a deep dive into their reasons, their experiences as locals, what makes Seattle appealing according to them.
Right. Uncover those compelling bits they highlighted.
Okay, so first up, they talked about Demetrius Jazz Alley in Belltown.
Ah, yeah, Jazz Alley. That sounds, Seattle's got music history, obviously, but this sounds a bit different, more refined, maybe.
That's the impression I got from Don and Susie's take. They talked about its history since the late 70s.
Wow. Okay, so it's established.
Totally. And it hosts top-tier jazz musicians. They actually saw Norman Brown there, the Grammy winner.
A Grammy winner in a jazz club setting.
Yeah.
That tells you something, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests, a real appreciation for that kind of musicianship, maybe beyond the grunge scene everyone knows.
And the vibe they described. Candlelit tables, low stage.
Yeah, you're right there. They said it felt almost like a private concert.
That intimacy is key, I think.
Yep.
And they mentioned a full dinner menu, too.
Mm-hmm. So it's a whole evening, not just popping in for a set.
Makes sense. And it's not just jazz, right? Did they say blues and R&B, too?
Yeah, world music as well.
Yeah.
So, broader appeal. For Don and Susie, it felt like it revealed the soul of the city, in a way.
I like that, the soul of Seattle.
Okay. So, naturally, they had to talk about the Space Needle. You can't not.
The icon, yeah. From the World's Fair back in '62.
But what Don and Susie found interesting was that even for locals, seeing it in person, it still gives you a thrill. It hasn't really worn off.
I can believe that. Some landmarks just have that presence. And they mentioned the experience up top has changed quite a bit since Sky City closed.
Oh, yeah. Big time. They talked about the Loop Lounge.
The Willa.
The Loop. L-O-U-P-E. It's on the rotating glass floor. 500 feet up.
Whoa. Yeah. Glass floor. Rotating.
Yep. Seasonal 21-plus gem cocktail tastings. Pretty unique way to see the city. Maybe a bit. Intense.
Intense is one word for it. But definitely memorable. They mentioned other options, too, though, more casual.
Yeah, Tip Top Cafe for snacks like soft serve and a sunset bar for drinks. But the real takeaway seemed to be the redesign.
Right, the open-air glass walls, the leaning benches.
Those leaning benches, they're transparent, apparently. You lean out against the glass.
Okay, that's brave. But cool. And the glass staircase.
It sounds like Don and Susie felt these changes made it more interactive, less like just looking at the view and more like being in it.
Yeah, I get that. It makes it worthwhile even if you live there, maybe take visitors up. It's about appreciating those views you have right there.
And right at the bottom of the needle, literally next door, is the next thing they highlighted. Chihuly Garden and Glass.
Ah, Chihuly, the glass artist. His work is incredible.
World-renowned, yeah. But Don and Susie pointed out he's actually from Tacoma, so it's a local connection.
Oh, okay. That makes it feel more personal, doesn't it? Like Seattle celebrating one of its own.
Totally. They called it a dazzling artistic experience.
I bet. His stuff is just so vibrant. What did they say? Was there galleries?
Yep, indoor galleries, but also an outdoor garden space where the glass sculptures are mixed in with the plants.
Oh, cool. Like blending art and nature.
And then the big one, the Glass House. It's this huge conservatory space with a massive, 100-foot-long sculpture hanging from the ceiling, reds and oranges.
Wow, and that must look amazing with the natural light and seeing the Space Needle right through the glass.
Exactly. Susie apparently took a great photo capturing that. Don and Susie see it as a place you'd go back to, maybe with visitors, just to soak in that beauty and imagination.
Yeah, a reminder of the creative side of the city.
Okay, can't talk Seattle without coffee.
Obvious one, right.
Yeah.
But Don and Susie's point was deeper than just, they drink a lot of coffee.
Right. It's part of the identity, the fabric of the city.
And the history runs deep. Starbucks started there in '71, sure, but they mentioned the indie cafes before that.
Yeah, those neighborhood hubs, places to connect.
And that's still live today, apparently. Just tons of coffee shops everywhere, each with its own vibe. Industrial, cozy, whatever.
Don shared an experience at Seattle Coffee Works. He felt the focus wasn't just the coffee itself, but the connection, the atmosphere, accepting that everyone likes their coffee differently.
Yeah, it's less about rigid rules and more about community, maybe, and just enjoying a good cup in a welcoming space.
Definitely the vibe I got. Okay, switching gears completely now. From cozy cafes to jets,
Yet.
Seafair, and specifically the Blue Angels.
Ah, right. The summer festival. Don and Susie mentioned this.
They did. They painted this picture of Seattle's unique setting, the lakes, the mountains, and then this huge air show happening right over it all.
That is pretty unique. The Blue Angels over Lake Washington.
Yeah, first week of August, they described the crowds everywhere. Shorelines, bridges, boats, even rooftops.
Just watching these jets fly low over the water.
Yeah.
That must be something else.
Especially, they said, when you've got Mount Rainier visible in the background. Just wow.
Heart pounding, I bet. It sounds like a massive shared experience for the city.
Totally. They mentioned other Seafair stuff too, like hydroplane races and parades, but the Blue Angels performance really stood out in their description. A real local tradition.
A memorable welcome for newcomers, too, I'd imagine.
For sure. Okay, last big moment they covered, Pike Place Market.
The classic. Fish throwing.
Well, yeah, but they were quick to say that's just like one tiny part of it, a gimmick almost.
Yeah, fair enough. What's the real deal, according to them?
History, mainly. It opened way back in 1907, and it's still a working market.
Right, not just a tourist trap. Real local farmers, artisans, bakers, butchers.
Exactly. People selling stuff they grew or made, fresh produce, amazing flowers they mentioned, huge bouquets for under $15.
Wow. And crafts, food. They mentioned multi-generational vendors.
Yeah, families who've been there for ages. And they described it as a maze of hidden gems.
Ooh, I like that. What kind of gems?
Okay, get this. French pastries, Russian pierogies, vegan sushi, Turkish delights, old school diners, Pike Brewing Company, just everything.
Sounds like you could spend days exploring.
That was their point. Don and Susie said they always find something new, something unexpected every time they go. You can wander for hours or just grab what you need.
So it serves locals just as much as visitors.
Definitely.
Okay, so pulling all these pieces together from Don and Susie's perspective, what's the big picture?
Yeah, I think their main message, reading between the lines on rethinkingre.com, is that Seattle is just layered, full of surprises.
Yeah, you could have such different experiences even in one weekend. Jazz club, cocktails on a glass floor, art gardens, air shows.
Right, it's got these deep historical roots like the market, but also this really forward-looking, innovative side.
Mm-hmm. And that blend of urban culture with that incredible natural setting, the water, the mountains.
It's potent. These 6 moments they shared, they're really just snapshots, aren't they? Glimpses into why people are drawn there.
Absolutely. It's not claiming Seattle's perfect, no city is, but it highlights a pretty compelling mix.
For sure, especially if you value like artistry, good food and drink, and the connection to nature.
Yeah. And if you are curious, thinking about Seattle, Don and Susie's blog, rethinkingre.com, seems like a really solid resource, a genuine local take.
Definitely worth a look. You know, this whole deep dive makes you think, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, Don and Susie showed Seattle as this place with layers. It's not just the big, famous things. Maybe the real magic of any place is in discovering those smaller moments, the hidden corners, over time.
That's a great point. It's about more than the icons. It's about the texture, the everyday discoveries. Right. What kind of layers, what kind of hidden gems are you looking for in a place to call home?